And we are live. Welcome to another Super Galactic Saturday. This is Jerry Sr. with Jerry Jr.
Good morning.
And we have another beautiful Saturday morning. It's a Saturday before the big day, Christmas Day. Just a few days away. And Merry Christmas to everyone out there who's listening and watching. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. And remember to go to our website, supergalacticfantastic.com, and sign up to our email list and get a free 12-page digital comic. And we appreciate your support. And we're going to have a lot more for you coming up in the new year. And we do plan to launch our campaign. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. And like I said, sign up to the email list and you will get notified when the campaign begins. But yeah, we've got a few things we're going to be talking about today, primarily in the video game space, but we got some other things we're probably going to bring up later. But yeah, you want to kick it off with the because that's kind of your realm, the video game stuff, like
Oh yeah. So there was a few. So I just want to preface this by saying a lot of these trailers were introduced during the video game awards this year, and generally I don't care about award shows, especially when it comes to video games. You know, I
hmm
mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna play what you like, and that's all that really matters. It doesn't really matter what the industry has to say about the games that you like. I don't think any real gamers actually care about the game awards. It's kind of like watching the Super Bowl. You're not invested in the actual event. You're there for the commercials, and that's
yeah,
especially true
I
for the
agree.
game awards.
I think that's been true even across all media, like with movies as well. Like I don't think anyone
Well,
cares if a movie got an Oscar. They're gonna care if they like the movie.
yeah,
But yeah, so
exactly.
I agree with you. Yeah, like, and same with video games. I think that sentiment just crosses over into that space because that's
Hmm.
just the nature of entertainment, right? Like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
you like what you're gonna like, regardless of
yeah.
awards and all that.
But I think the one highlight I will say is that Expedition 33 won the awards, which is cool. It's an indie game from France. It was really popular. Uh, did a lot of cool stuff. And one thing I will say about it that is really cool for me personally is that a lot of the mechanics are reminiscent of Paper Mario, which is my favorite, or one of my favorite RPG series. Thousand Year Door being my favorite RPG of all time. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm glad it won, and I hope that the studio makes more games. But
Yeah,
that's kind of the main highlight. One thing that I do want to point out before we get into commercials that I think is really telling of sort of the direction of gaming is I don't know if you saw the clip that I sent you uh, during the Game Awards, but when they were nominating the games, Mario Kart World, the new Mario Kart from the Switch 2 got booed at the Game Awards. Let me see if I can. I'll pull up the clip. It's pretty interesting because um, generally people love Nintendo, right?
yeah.
So you don't really expect any. Like I've never not seen anybody happy over a new Mario game. So it's pretty.
You never see anyone
It's so
happy over a new Mario game, or not?
unhappy.
Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure I heard you right.
Yeah, I was trying to say unhappy, but yeah. Let me see. This is a clip right here. In case you don't believe me,
Mario Kart World rematch. Mario Kart World rematch.
yeah, it was very faint, but you can hear someone go boo.
Yeah. Wow.
Which, listen, to be honest, is completely earned. Nintendo, like, they had it coming because Nintendo. Listen, I'm a Nintendo kid. You could vouch for this, obviously, but I grew up on strictly Nintendo
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
consoles.
Yep.
Um, and I didn't get a PlayStation until I was like an adult. Um, and but the thing with Nintendo is they're a lot like Disney, where they take advantage of your nostalgia in order to sell you mediocrity, and
Yep.
people are
Yep.
tired of it.
Yeah, I
Point
think so.
blank and simple, you know.
Yeah.
And they've
Yep.
been getting away for it for a while. I would say since new Super Mario Brothers Wii was sort of a sign of things going downhill. Mainly because with Super Mario Brothers Wii, it was like, oh, we could just repackage Super Mario Brothers 3 over and over again, and then that kind of bled into the other. It's true. It kind of that kind of mentality bled into uh, the spin-offs like Paper Mario, is a big example, and then that kind of bled into you know everything else like Star Fox Zero for the Wii U was just a rehashing of Star Fox 64, you know, um, but just worse. um, and I mean, I could go on, but and then I mean, me and my especially my brother, he could vouch for this. Pokemon, especially suffers this problem because Pokemon really hasn't innovated since. I mean, any Pokemon fans can argue this against me. I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but I would say the last Pokemon game that piqued my interest was I guess Sun and Moon, and that was how many generations of Pokemon are we in? But I will say this: that was like probably like 10 years ago. Yeah, 2016. So that was just about 10 years ago, right? So 10 years later, Game Freak hasn't really innovated anything with Pokemon, and on top of that, the games look extremely dated. Like none of them use voice acting. The the graphical style is like super poor. Like they look worse. Like I don't know. In my opinion, they look about on par as like a PS2 game, which is in this case not a compliment because PS2 is old as dirt at this point. It's just they don't innovate anything. Like okay, like I don't know if you've seen the new. You probably haven't seen the new Pokemon game, obviously, but like just put things in perspective on how much Game Freak is not trying, and this is mainly Nintendo's fault. I'm gonna blame Nintendo for this because I think I'm serious. I think Nintendo is really holding Game Freak back. So game, so Pokemon. What's the new game called? ZA or something? They used to be named after colors. They ran out of colors, and now they're just using the alphabet. It's true. Like this used to be green, red and green, or red and blue. Then it was silver and gold. Then it was diamond and pearl. But yeah. Let me see. What's a good? Also, anybody who's a Pokemon fan, feel free to, like I said, disagree with me or not. There we go. So this is the new Pokemon game, right? It looks, I mean, looks whatever. It looks like every other Pokemon game, but like, so Dad, it like, does this look like a Pokemon game to you? Like just right off the bat, like
No.
does this look interesting at all?
I mean, no, not really. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
like when you
kid
think
walking
Pokemon, like
around, I
we
guess.
like when I was a kid, we watched the anime, right? Like, does this
Yeah.
remind you of the anime at all?
No, I was going to ask, like, is that supposed to be Ash Ketchum, or is that
No, that's not
some
Ash
random
Ketchum. Ash
guy?
Ketchum hasn't been relevant in years, but yeah, yeah, it's like
That's
this.
that's
This
that's
looks
my
boring.
that's where my knowledge of Pokemon
So this is Game
ends.
Freak worked for Nintendo, And then this is the same studio. This is the same studio. Now this is Game Freak. Make it a game for Xbox, right?
You know, your internet sucks.
What's that?
Your internet sucks.
Listen,
it's
don't remind me. All right,
it's really choppy.
but can you see it though?
Yeah, I can see it. It's just it's
Yeah,
showing you
I know.
frame to frame instead of just playing.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah,
But
it is what it is.
this is the same people who made Pokemon. This is Game Freak. Like, look at that. Look at that. Look at this. It's like night and day.
And that's from the same
And
creator.
yeah, you just say, oh, well, it's a different, genre. And it's like, well, sure, but they're both games about fighting and capturing monsters. And it's not like it's just like I said, Game Freak is being held back tremendously. So I
But the
don't
question is, who's holding them back and why?
like I said. I
Do
say
you, do you think
it
it's
feels like it's obviously some people higher up in Game Freak are probably to blame, but I'm still going to put the majority of the blame on Nintendo because they're still responsible. They're still uh, involved in like someone involved in the production of the Pokemon franchise, right? Because the way Pokemon works is that Game Freak, they're the developer and they co-own the Pokemon series along with Nintendo. So there's obviously some Nintendo people involved with the creation of the Pokemon games, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like why like Pokemon could easily look like this if they really wanted to. Obviously, not super. It doesn't have to be
Hyper
hyper
realistic?
realistic.
It just needs to look better.
Yeah, it just needs to
Yeah,
look cool. Like this looks cool.
yeah. I mean, it could be a matter of budget too. You gotta realize, because this is what Sony, right? This is PlayStation,
Right.
and then
It's
the
Pokemon.
Pokemon is obviously
Pokemon
Nintendo.
is the highest grossing media franchise in the
Okay, but
world. They
okay,
have the
but
money.
well, I didn't say they didn't have the money. I'm saying if Nintendo's not willing to pay the money to Game Freak to do it at a certain level of quality, right? Their hands are tied. Like they, you know what I mean? Like
Right, but
it's like
they
you're
have no
asking us
reason
to.
not to.
Well, I agree, and that's why a lot of people are angry with Nintendo and don't really like Nintendo, executive, right? Like they're always kind of making these decisions that don't make any sense, right? So, you know, it's strange. I mean, it makes me think of what's that one that came? I think it was Disney Marvel when they
What?
did the Avengers game. Remember, it came out back in what
Are you talking about
2022
the
or
live
3.
service one? The one that looked like the movies?
No, I think it's the one with the girl.
Yeah, you talking
Something.
about the one
Oh, is
with
that the same
Miss
one?
Marvel, right?
Yeah, with Ms.
Yeah,
Marvel. That's what.
yeah. It was
Yeah,
the
like it
Avengers
was.
game.
Yeah, yeah.
That one was
It
made
was.
by Square. Yeah,
Yeah,
Square
Square
Enix.
Enix, and it was like, wait a minute, so this is the same Square Enix that did Final Fantasy and the King's Glaive movie.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, you
all
understand?
the everything looked super bland, and
Yeah, it
you
was
know,
like, what are they doing? But like I said, I think that was a matter of you know um, budget, right? And probably the Disney management kind of having their hands in the punch bowls, like
maybe
just
I don't know too much about the production of that
well,
game
the
in
game itself
particular.
was kind of garbage, and
Yeah.
visually it was like what, like it wasn't great, not as good as it should have been. I'll put it that way, right? When you have a giant like Disney behind you, like it's kind of like what are you doing, Then we
Yeah,
got later we got the latest one,
Marvel Rivals. Yeah,
Rivals,
that's
and
way
it's
better.
like But what's the difference, right? Well, I think a big difference is probably more budget, better budget, but also the people working on it are they're fans of the content, right? Like and I think with Square
I
Enix
mean,
they didn't really
if any,
have that.
it's probably the latter. Like, I can't imagine. I don't know. I'd have to look up the numbers on these things, but I can't imagine the budget for Marvel Rivals being all that dramatically different than the budget
That's
for
a fair point. I mean, that'll be
uh,
interesting to find out
Marvel's
because
Avengers.
yeah, I agree with you. The latter is more important. The
I
fact
think
that
it's just a
they
matter of
appreciate the
creative
IP.
differences
Yeah. Well, they
and
appreciate the
creative.
IP.
Yeah,
They're fans. They're like, this is what I want to see because I love these characters, right?
yeah. And
And
then
I
you've
don't think we
got
got that
the
with
Tokone
Square
Marvel
Enix.
Tokone coming out, the fighting game, Fighting Souls,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
right?
So yeah, it does boil down to sort of creative inspiration, right?
Yeah.
Like, are these people really? Do they really care about this property, or is it just like, hey, we got a contract, let's crank it out, you know, and be done with it, you know?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think that's
yeah,
that's a big part of it. It's there's very little passion behind it, and
yeah, but
sometimes
yeah.
it's like One Punch Man season three, you
Oh
know.
my gosh,
Uh, we're seeing,
was they didn't even try. That's not even a budget thing.
that's
They
what I'm
just
saying.
didn't
Like,
try.
yeah, they just, but I heard one scenario was the artist really wasn't familiar with One Punch Man or the villains, and so they rendered a villain as a female, but the villain is actually male. You know
I
what I
know
mean?
it
Like,
doesn't.
but they gave, like, because they didn't know, like, they just were ignorant of the lore and the manga, but obviously didn't take the time to find out, right? And
Yeah,
that's the problem, right? It's like, and I don't know if I think that's a matter of leadership and management. I
yeah,
wouldn't even be hard on the artists themselves. I would say, look, it's a job, right? It's like, hey man, they told me to just create this thing and they gave me this brief description. They didn't say if it was male or female, so I took a stab in the dark, right? Or
that's true.
I thought it was a female because they used this term or something, right? Who knows, right? But that's the leadership, that's the management, that's the art director, that's the executives who are over the project, right? The tech leads, etc. Because they're the ones who are managing the artists. They're managing the people that are helping to produce this. And if they're dropping the ball by making sure there's a proper dossier for each character, a character bible, something, right? Where it's like, look, here's the character bible. It's very specific and explicit. It lays out color scheme. It's just like I work in creative space. I work as a web designer and a graphic designer and all that. And there's this thing called a style guide, right? So when you create a graphic, like a logo, right, or a logo type, or a brand, right? If you're creating a whole brand structure, you have a style guide, and style guide tells you all the colors that are supposed to go into a logo. So if I don't know if you've ever been to a corporate website, right, like Pepsi or something, or you know, even Amazon. If you go to their corporate, you'll find like a link to their style guides and how. So if you're like a vendor and you're using their logo, because maybe you're reselling their stuff, right, or so, whatever it is, right,
Well, I remember
you
years
you
ago
have
I
to
was
use the
watching a
style guide
video.
to guide you on how to apply, and that's how it
Yeah,
should work in animation and production. It's like,
yeah,
and obviously One Punch Man season three proves that isn't always how it works, right?
yeah.
Like,
It's funny you mentioned that. I remember watching a video years ago about somebody breaking down the. It was essentially like a manual on how to draw the Pepsi logo, how to design the Pepsi logo, and it
mhm.
was like 1,000 pages just dedicated to the Pepsi logo and like the philosophy
Yeah,
behind it. It was kind
it
of
can
funny.
get that. Yeah, it can get that deep
Yeah,
because you're getting into shape ways and colors and different applications. Like, is it a letterhead? Is it a billboard? Is it a neon sign? Like, it goes. It's an infinitum, right? Like, you can go on and on because especially if you're trying to protect your brand and you want it to appear a certain way, you're going to be very stringent on how it's supposed to be presented. That's where style guide comes in. And from what I've seen over the years, a lot of in the entertainment space, right, they don't always do that. Like, if you look at Studio Ghibli, right, Miyazaki, he is the style guide, right? So when he starts a project, right,
yeah.
He'll develop a style, look, character designs, backgrounds, textures, colors, right? And then once he gets that hammer down, right, then he passes it on to his artists, and they have to mimic that, right? So, and it's frustrating for the artist sometimes because and I remember this from watching a couple of his documentaries. Sometimes he shifts gears and he'll go, "No, it's not working." So they've already jumped in and they're doing characters, right, and all this stuff, and he's like, "Nope, we're gonna start all over." And he goes back to the drawing board. He starts drawing and sketching and trying to create shapeways and all this kind of stuff because he's trying to find something that visually works, right? But that's kind of the whole. That's how it's supposed to work, right? It's like there's a source of like this is, you know, the template you work from, right?
All
You
right.
don't get to kind of just do whatever you want. And I think with some of these, production companies, small, especially smaller ones, it's kind of like I think they're just kind of doing what they want to do, not necessarily because they're arrogant. I think part of it is they don't receive the guidance, right? They don't get a style guide, or they get one, but it's poorly drawn up, right? It's poorly done. So they kind of fill in the blanks, and there's no real standard set because it's clear when you look at this, like there was a standard set, like hey, it needs to look like you know this game, whatever the latest, greatest, what I mean, Assassin's Creed style, whatever, right? So they had a template or a bar to try to achieve. But with Pokemon, I'm guessing they really did. They weren't given a bar. It was kind of like, hey, just make there's this kid and he tries to find Pokemon. It's like like do what you do, whatever, right? Make it work. So it's that's unfortunate, but it's kind of the veil that's being lifted, right? Where thanks to
Yeah,
social media, especially where people are starting to see these big companies aren't as big as you think they are, right? Like internally, they don't have the answers, and they're not as like savvy or smart. Like many times, you know, a lot of the stuff they do is kind of a shot in the dark. You know, they don't know what they're doing. They're not
that's
tapped
true. Yeah.
in, right? Like a fan, like you shared a fan made
Oh yeah. You
Pokemon.
talking about Mario Kart Amped Up? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a fan made
it's
Mario Kart for the N64. It's good. I played it. It's basically
yeah,
just an
yeah.
enhanced version of the 64 one.
I'll share because
It's awesome.
my system's faster.
You don't have to rub it in.
I'm not. I did nothing by it. Nothing personal. Yeah, it's good. It's 64. 64 graphics, right? You know what I mean? Like they nailed it.
Well, here's the thing: the original Mario. This is running on real 64 hardware. First off, and in the original Mario Kart, all the characters were 2D sprites. Yeah, see now with
Yeah,
animated 3D racers, so they
yeah.
were able to pull off something the original Mario Kart couldn't
Right.
do.
They could do it, at least at the time,
Yeah,
which is awesome. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like this is what passion passion looks like, right? We have a passionate, fan base, right? We have passionate artists and game designers, etc. That kind of share in it, right? I mean, that's ideal, you know. Even if you're not,
yeah.
you don't go in as a fan, but maybe you should try to become one. At least try to understand it, right? So that you can give the fans what they want, and you know,
Oh yeah. Here's the thing: you don't even have to look to like fan games. Like with Mario Kart, like what's it called? Just look at Sonic Cross Worlds, right? That's a that the marketing for that game has been like insane because like that game has a lot more bang for your buck than
yeah,
Mario Kart World because it's not like it's it's a kart racer, but it also has the gimmick of like teleporting to like different worlds between matches. But also like look at the roster. Like never in my never in my life would I would imagine that I would be racing um, against SpongeBob SquarePants, Minecraft, and Hatsune Miku in a Sonic game. Like just saying that sentence, I sound like an insane person.
Not only that, but this looks amazing. I mean, that looks amazing, right?
No, it does.
The graphics are spectacular. Look at this. Like, why aren't we getting this on the regular with every look at
I mean that.
that looks beautiful.
Oh yeah. But seriously, Dad, like, hold on a second, because I don't think you understand how crazy. I gotta find the one with SpongeBob because I.
I know that's what I was waiting to say.
Yeah, this
This
trailer
looks
doesn't have it. This
this
trailer
almost
doesn't have. Yeah, this trailer doesn't have it in the DLC in it. But yeah, like, what an insane roster of characters! Like Mario Kart World, all they did was put in a bunch of like no-name generic enemies that you don't care about, right? Like, oh, it's Goomba another number two. It's Goomba with wings. It's a cow. It's like I don't want to play as a cow. But here you've got oh my god, yeah.
description is
SpongeBob character reveal, excuse me? Like what?
it's crazy.
Like this is stupid. They didn't need to do all this.
But they did, man. It's pretty cool. It's got a Krabby Patty mobile. It's awesome.
Yo, yeah, you don't need a license to drive a sandwich. Yeah, they did the thing.
It's great.
I don't know why that made me so happy. I actually did. I actually didn't watch the trailer originally because I thought it was like a mod or something. But no,
Yeah,
that's real.
yeah, that's
But
pretty
yeah,
cool. Yeah, I like that.
and then apparently we're getting Mega Man. So yeah, do I want to buy Mario Kart World and drive around an empty field as a cow, or do I want to race against Sonic, Mega Man, and SpongeBob? Oh yeah, and then this isn't Mario Kart, but
Yeah,
this is a new Mega
speaking
Man
of
game.
Mega Man, yeah,
Yeah.
I figure I'll bring it up since we mentioned it. Mega Man Dual Override.
Did you watch this trailer yet?
No, this is my first time
Okay.
watching it. 2027. Ah, that's too late.
Oh, you cut out the best part.
I did.
No, it's
So,
because so the reveal was a lot cooler and because during the game show worlds because they had a whole orchestra and stuff. But yeah, the whistle is I don't know if you remember Mega Man, but that was Proto Man's whistle. That was
oh,
basically
okay.
his whistle whenever he showed up. So maybe they were hinting at a possibility of Proto Man being playable in the game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it looks cool, and I think this would technically be Mega Man 12. I think Mega Man because the Mega Man 11 came out. When did Mega Man 11 come out? I want to say that was also like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
So yeah, Mega Man. It's funny because Mega Man used to be like Capcom's mascot essentially, but
Flagship, yeah.
yeah, but they
That's
really
how I
haven't been
took it,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
2018.
missed opportunity, I suppose.
You said what? Oh,
I said missed opportunity, I suppose.
well, I mean, I don't know. I think, yeah, I just don't think they know what to do with Mega Man because they've done all. I mean, they've rebooted Mega Man so many times, not in a bad way, but there's so many iterations of Mega Man, and lately they've
Right.
just been
I mean,
uh,
that's my impression too.
going
They
back to the
don't,
classic one.
yeah, they don't really know what to do. Probably because they keep trying to look at it from a, oh, how do we update this character? How do we modernize? And it's like, well, it's not really about modernizing the character or updating. It's just about saying, hey, what else can we do with the character? Like, what other stories are there that where we can
Well,
approach the
in
game?
fairness to Capcom, I think they've done a good job of I guess if you want to call it modernizing Mega Man, because each generation of consoles had like a Mega Man, like obviously like the NES they had classic Mega Man, and then the Super Nintendo you had Mega Man X.
Yeah,
Same thing with PlayStation. Game Boy Advance you had Zero, and you also had like the RPGs. So there's been different iterations of Mega Man, and they've all been pretty well received and stuff like that. Like the RPG games are apparently really popular because there's like 12 of them. So I think it's mainly I don't know. It just seems like recently, whenever they try to do like something cool with Mega Man, it either gets canceled and they just revert to just doing another like 8-bit Mega Man game because it's
yeah,
safe and easy.
right.
So,
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
yeah, this looks cool though. This is probably the only thing that I got excited for at the Game Show Awards. So,
And
if
yeah,
there's
one
anything else
more.
that was worth, then you guys let me know. But I don't think so.
Yeah, one more Showa American Story.
Oh yeah, so funny. Remember that the game with the Gurren Lagann reference that we saw last time?
I do remember that.
Yeah, that's this.
Let's check it out.
あなたがテキサスを日本の財団に売ったからこのようなことが連鎖的に起きたんでしょう。ゾンビとは過去にとらわれ抜け出せない者たちです。彼らは真の解雇主義者なのですよ。
Was it always 20 scheduled for 2026?
Uh, the PC version is coming out 2026.
Oh, so this is for PC only. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I think Mecha Missionary brought up a good point. Is that the drill thing was probably a reference to Get a Robo more so than Gurren Lagann because
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
because that's what it's
Gurren
like in Gurren
Lagann,
Lagann. It's Get a Robo. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
that's right.
that makes sense. But yeah, game still looks awesome. Can't wait to play it. It looks absolutely ridiculous. It's essentially like you know, it's a Chinese game about 80s Japanese culture, and I find that hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It looks fun. I mean, that's the main thing. It, it looks
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
as
yeah.
all get out. So, and to me, that's what it's about, right? So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, what were we talking about before we started? We were talking about the Hulk, right? Um,
Oh yeah,
any Hulk
with
fans out
the
there? Let
movies
us
and
know.
stuff.
Yeah, I shared a video with you about a Hulk fan, and he's kind of dismantling what Marvel, the MCU specifically, did to the Hulk, and and the reason why I shared it with you is because it reminded me of it's the sentiment I've been hearing from other friends who were big fans of the Hulk that did not like how the MCU treated the Hulk.
Yeah, you're talking about the video from Mullet Man Comics.
Yeah,
Great
yeah,
YouTube channel, by the way. Check them out.
yeah. Check
But
him
yeah,
out.
I mean, what he said makes sense because the thing is that, like, I feel like most Marvel fans understand this already, but like, they severely like neutered the Hulk, not just from a character standpoint, but from a narrative standpoint. Because yeah, his storyline is basically non-existent in the MCU, and they've been mainly just focused on him, smashing stuff for the spectacle, but it doesn't mean anything because it's like it's not the real. You're only covering like one aspect of the Hulk and not the entire character. And I think that's what most people who are fans are disappointed in. Like I was more of a Spider-Man fan than a Hulk fan, but I did read a lot of the Hulk comics, even the ones where he would like talk and stuff. It was weird, but like one of the stories that stood out to me is uh, uh, World War Hulk or Planet Hulk, whatever you want to call it, and it was cool because we got to see like a different side of the Hulk, but also see him like you know expand beyond just this angry green monster, but it was in a meaningful way, right? That didn't betray the character, and it was cool, and especially when the movie came out, and they completely like glossed over that in the Marvel movies,
Right.
and it just kind of watching Hulk, watching the treatment of Hulk in the Marvel movies turns you, ironically, makes you into the Hulk, makes you angry,
It makes you angry. Yeah, it makes you
and
angry.
it's frustrating. Yeah, yeah, exactly, because it's like there's so many cool things they could have done with the Hulk, but they just turned him into a Californian, and it's like this is not what the Hulk is supposed to be. I say a California. They turn him into an Angelino, and
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's just
it's
ridiculous. They did. They just turned him
yeah,
into one of
it's
those dudes you meet in
and
Hollywood in the
and
cafe, and it's like
initially,
that's not what the Hulk is about.
yeah, but the initial sort of outing on the in the Avengers movie, right, was pretty good. Like I didn't, I think they started in the right direction because they emphasized the trauma of being the Hulk
Oh,
and
sure,
the
yeah,
things he has to do, and how
yeah,
he's kind of this recluse, right, and he's got to kind of hide away because everyone's trying to hunt him down. And but then they just dropped the ball, right? They, you know, um,
I mean, you just say that about most characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it's it started off great and then it just went downhill. I mean, that's kind of been
Yeah,
the trend
it
with
I agree.
everything.
It went down. Like
But
Ang
even
Lee's.
in like the early like phase one and two of the Marvel movies, the Hulk still got like the short end of the stick, right? Because he wasn't allowed to be. They never dived deep into Bruce Banner or his story, right? Like we never got a Hulk 2 or 3. We just had the Incredible Hulk, right? Like Captain America and Iron Man got full trilogies. The Hulk didn't, which honestly is a crime. So I don't understand.
Yeah,
Super missed
I mean
opportunity.
he got two movies, but very
That told
two
the same
different.
story.
Well, not
That's the
exactly,
thing,
but
though.
two different
They did. They were
takes.
both origin stories, so it doesn't.
No,
So it
no, they
doesn't
weren't. The
really.
second one wasn't an origin story. The second one
Yeah.
kind of picked.
Well,
He was already the Hulk. It kind of picks up where he's the Hulk and he's running and he kind of reconnects with Betty and all that stuff. Like he's
that's
running.
true. Yeah, but I don't.
But
Is that
which
really
was fine
associated
to
with the
me.
first movie?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it was a sequel. I'm just saying it did. It wasn't an origin story. They didn't. He didn't really cover
That's
that. He
true.
covered
Yeah.
sort of he's already the Hulk, and he's running and he's trying to find answers and he's. That's kind of and
Mm.
they're tracking it, trying to track him. Remember, he was in like South America or something,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
at the
That's
end
true.
he was in. I can't remember where he was in the end, but oh, that's right. He just kind of yeah. I think he ended up in a whole another country somewhere. But in any
Yeah, he
case,
was in
like
like
it
South
wasn't.
America. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. You know, a lot of people didn't like. Um, the Abomination, which yeah, I didn't care for it myself. Like him fighting, it was okay. Um, the story just wasn't optimal. Like the Ang Lee version was pretty good, in my opinion. My only
Hmm.
issue with it was the end, the way it ended. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like it
That's
was kind of
that's
cliche.
fair.
You want the power? Here's the power. And it's like okay, he overloads him with power. It's like okay, I don't know. I wanted him to fight the abomination in the first in Ang Lee's version because I think it would have been better. What I mean, like something like that, right? Like, but his
Yeah.
dad turns into like some energy thing, and it's like, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, what is that? Like, how do you fight that? It's I don't know. But the emphasis was more on his psychological, mental, challenges, right, with being the Hulk and Bruce Banner and the trauma from childhood, and that's an interesting version. Like I remember as a kid watching the series, and it was the focus was really on more on him losing his wife and not being able to save his wife, right, and that kind of stuff, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
what led to him to study gamma radiation and to try and enhance himself, right, and because he wasn't able to save his wife, and so it was like either way, whatever the origin is. It's all about the handling of the Hulk. Like even the World War Hulk, that's a great iteration, I think. And I kind of wish they had done it, but instead they, I don't know, created this sort of convoluted movie called Thor Ragnarok, where they kind of integrated it, I guess.
Yeah, they snuck a Hulk movie inside of my Thor movie, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So that whole thing was because I was hoping that would kick off World War Hulk in some way. Like, okay, it's a cameo. He fights the Hulk, and then he moves on and defeats Hela, even with the Hulk. But then instead, it segued into uh, um, Infinity War and Endgame. So it was like, oh, okay, no World War Hulk, which would have been kind of cool. I mean, I think that's what a lot of fans really wanted. But Marvel had Marvel had different plans, right? But yeah, I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate him making that video because it's like, yeah, I think he speaks for a lot of Hulk fans. It's like
well,
even in
it's funny
Endgame,
because he brought up the TV show at some point. And even though the obviously the original '70s show is a bit cheesy, but I think at the same time, I think that show took the Hulk more seriously
Yeah, yeah, and
than
that's my point, right?
they do
It's
today.
different origins, but it's like this narrative was there, and they
Because like when
it's
you
like it
listen to the
shows that
theme
you can
song,
have a series on the Hulk if you really want to, right? That's what that's to me.
yeah.
That's what that proves, like, because it ran for how many seasons? I think a couple, at least 2 or 3 seasons, right? Probably longer,
Oh, okay, I didn't know
you
that.
know. And so it's like, yeah, it proves that it is possible if you take the lore and the IP seriously, and you really want to tell a good story,
Yeah.
and go in
Well,
on the psychological dynamic, the duality of Bruce Banner and Hulk, right? And but in the movies, it's like it was this sort of, I wouldn't even call it a backstory, right? You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of there, and then they touch on it in Endgame, right, where he's like, I guess this version of Professor Hulk or something, and it's like okay, and I didn't necessarily mind that, but at the same time, it's like,
I know,
bro,
but
like
there was
you
no
just
build up
skipped
to it.
over, yeah, you
That's
just
yeah.
glossed over an entire. That's
It
a whole
wasn't earned.
movie. That's a movie by itself.
Yeah.
Like we instead you gave us Captain Marvel. Like nobody wanted that. You know, like nobody would. You could have gave us the Hulk movie, where the Hulk and Bruce Banner have this adventure, and they deal with being the Hulk and all this kind of dealing with loss, right? Dealing with losing to Thanos, all this kind of. They could have
Yeah.
addressed that in an entire movie. That should have been the bridge between Infinity War and Endgame, right? Where okay, we get the backstory and how he ends up being Professor Hulk, and then you pay it off in Endgame where he actually hulks out again, right? He's
Yeah.
the Hulk again, right? Like because in Avengers, if he's always angry and he can just turn into the Hulk, then
I mean, he's
why
in
couldn't he do it in
control.
Endgame? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like so it's so silly, right? Like it's like Marvel. I don't know. They contradict themselves so much in their own
Right, but it's for the
narratives.
sake of spectacle. They don't really care about the logic
Yeah,
behind it.
it
They
is.
just
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
and it's funny. I think about you mentioned covering his loneliness during the middle of Endgame or whatever. Like I always think, like once again, the show. Like when I think of the show, I think about the theme, the piano theme from the whole "Lonely Man" by
Yep.
Joe Harnell, and
Yeah.
it's like that's
Beautiful
kind
song.
of that's kind of the that whole song sort of epitomizes Bruce as a character,
It
right?
does.
And it's
It's
such a
iconic.
great. You would think that the Hulk's theme would be this bombastic, like fee fi fo fum type of deal, but no, it's like it's the soft piano thing, and
Yeah.
it works so well because yeah, being the Hulk is lonely, and I remember
Right.
the one episode I do remember seeing from the Incredible Hulk was one where like Bruce meets like a kid with like an abusive father, and I felt like, oh, well, that's appropriate because Bruce
Yep.
had an abusive father,
Yep.
and yeah, it's like the show like really knew how to like it took advantage of the character a lot better than um, the recent movies, and it's kind of
Well, yeah, because if you have just basic common sense, there's a lot
well, I know, but it's like it's
you can
very easy for
mine.
people to dismiss it as like something that's hokey, kind of like an
No,
Adam
it's
West
not. But that's
Batman,
what
but
I'm
it was
saying.
definitely
If you
not.
have common sense as a writer, you can mine a lot from the Hulk IP. Right? There's so much in that, especially because it touches on yes, heroism and bravery and courage, right? But also courage in light of like carrying this burden, right? And how a
Yeah,
burden may seem like a burden, but maybe in certain ways it can be a blessing to others, right? Like there's so much in that, right? Dealing with trauma and trauma bonding with other characters, and you go on, man. Like and then on top of that, you stack it with the action and everything, right? And these powerful villains and it's just missed opportunity, and it's unfortunate. But I ran across that and I just thought, yeah, I appreciate uh, someone taking the time to cover that because and I agree.
hmm
The video is called Marvel's Biggest Mistake, and
Yeah, it's by Mullet Man
Mullet Man
Comics. It's a good
Comics.
channel.
And yeah, I mean, check it out. It's a great video. He makes a lot of great points, and he's clearly a huge Hulk fan, and it's very knowledgeable. And there's certain stories in there I didn't even know about in relation to the Hulk, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. It's really good. And but it's like it's not about like because he covers a lot of iterations of the Hulk, from the comics, obviously.
Yeah,
But it's not about doing all of those iterations. It's just about respecting the character enough to say,
yeah. It's about
let's
capturing the
let's pick
essence.
let's pick a narrative that works, or let's pick the best out of these different narratives, right? You know what I mean, and put them into a story, into a movie. And it's like no one has done that very well. I think, like I said, I think Ang Lee's was probably the best iteration,
Yeah,
story wise, right? Um,
and the credit to that movie, it also was like one of the very few comic book movies that actually tried to like feel like a comic book,
It did. He did.
especially
Yeah,
with the
his
editing and
direction was
stuff like
very,
that.
very, very good. The transitions, that
Yeah.
was, especially when he got into the second and third act, there was a lot of
Hmm.
the action. We got to see the Hulk really Hulk out. That was a lot of fun, and I think that was part of the the thinking behind it. Is like let's make this fun. It's Hulk, and yeah, it's some serious trauma, but it's also Hulk, right? And we're gonna have fun.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's and it
Uh
is
huh.
fun watching the Hulk out and cut loose, right? And he did that very well. I know a lot of folks complain about the visual, like because he still looked kind of, I guess, cartoony, like the CGI wasn't, you know. But it'd be nice to see him redo the movie and like really like go in and like fix the CGI and get it like more realistic, more.
Maybe, yeah.
But other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, it's probably one of the best Hulk movies. You know, I think out of the selection we have, right? It is the best iteration, and although I think it could get even better, especially if they stick to certain storylines like World War Hulk, or Planet Hulk and all that. So, but yeah, it's I mean, Marvel's doing the the Doomsday, right? That's coming out. And I don't know.
I don't care
It's
about
supposed to be
that.
this reboot, I guess, or restructure. I'm like,
Who cares?
yeah, it's so dumb. It's like, how about this?
Like,
Don't make any more
oh,
movies
we're bringing back Captain
for
America.
I know, but don't make any movies for like 3 years. Then just start
They
over.
can't help themselves.
Just recast everyone, and like what I'm
Uh,
saying. Get some great
They're not going to do
actors.
that. That would make too
Yeah, they're
much
not
sense.
because it's like they're just so greedy and they're so like corporate. They can't get out of their own way. It's very frustrating. Um, and that's why they're bringing back these actors who are like 50 and 60 now. Like, you know what I mean? Like they've aged out of these roles, right? Like unless
Yeah.
you're gonna do
And here's
old
the
man
thing:
versions.
they wouldn't have to bring back Cap. They're only bringing back uh, Captain America because they know people didn't like Falcon as
Well,
Captain
people
America.
people love Falcon. They hate Falcon as Captain America.
I know that's what I said.
And it's true.
They
It's
like
true in the movies, and it was true in the comics. Like nobody cared about Falcon becoming Captain America. Like nobody really liked it. It didn't sell. The comics didn't really sell very well. Like it was a constant, just like Lady Thor. No one cared about Lady Thor. No one. The comics didn't really sell. It's like they keep basing their movies and culling their stories from failed comic runs. It makes no. It's the stupidest thing. It makes no sense. It's like these are failed runs. Like they didn't do anything. They didn't. Nobody liked it. Why are you doing it? Like and yeah, it's like they they are bringing Chris Evans back as Captain America for that reason because very few people accepted Falcon as. But I think in my mind, in my opinion, it could have worked if they had paid proper tribute and homage to Captain America in the series. And
yeah.
basically you just tweak the series, right? This is my redo of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? It's always the Falcon and Winter Soldier. It never becomes Captain America and Winter Soldier. That's number one, right? B, the main villain is not a 20-year-old little girl, right? It's an actual villain who's
What?
formidable.
What? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the series
Forgot
was like
about
it
that.
was some girl leading this terrorist group. No, it's a
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was stupid.
grown man with powers. He's a super soldier, and he's obsessed with taking over the world or something, right? Seizing power, right? And he manipulates the girl, right? She could be part of it, but she's being manipulated, So she becomes a sympathetic character in that sense. They tried to make her the main villain and sympathetic, and it's like doesn't work. It looks stupid, right? And he's pandering and using the woke talking points of like equity and all this stuff to manipulate people, right? And then the Falcon sees through it. They battle out. Then the new Captain America that comes, right? Instead of making him look like villainous, right? How about he's just a guy who's trying to fill big shoes, right? And he's struggling with that because he's not Captain America, right? You know what I mean? Like, and but he starts to realize that yeah, these are big shoes to fill. I'm not that guy, right? I'm who I am,
Yeah,
right? And that could have been the struggle with his character, and then instead of having him murder someone who surrendered, and he kills him anyway, so that he can demonize him. How about he actually rescues someone from the terrorists, right? Takes them out, saves someone, but it's at his own physical expense, where maybe it's an explosion. I don't know, but he's terribly injured, right? So now he can't continue to be Captain America for a while, right? Because it needs time to heal, right? And then him and maybe even Falcon kind of saves his life or something. I don't know, but now they connect and they're like, oh, mutual respect now, right? Because before
yeah,
maybe I think it's John Walker, right? He sees Falcon as a sidekick. Like, oh, you're just a sidekick, right? Like, you know what I mean. So he's not giving him his props. And it's like, yeah, that's you understand what I'm saying. That would have been a
yeah,
cool dynamic, and then they earn each other's respect, just like Bucky and Falcon did over it, right? You can do the same with John Walker, and then at the end, where not the end, but the third act, it's like maybe John Walker gives him the shield again, and it's like, hey, here, you're gonna need this, right? You understand? And then
yeah,
he goes out as the Falcon, but with Cap's shield, and does pretty much all the same things, except he fights the big bad guy, right, instead of the little girl. It defeats him
yeah,
without being a super soldier, which is impressive, right? Without being,
yeah,
but he has Cap shield, and maybe Cap shield gives him the leverage he needs, right? Along with his high tech Falcon suit, right? And he wins the day. And then there's no speech, there's no lecturing, right? When the press comes around, I mean, he has the girl because maybe he rescues her or something. I don't know, right? And they ask him, "Are you new Captain America?" And he says, "There's only one Captain America. You can call me Falcon." And then he flies off. That's it, right? That would have been perfect. That would, that would have been great, and everyone would love Falcon again. And Falcon would have serious props and serious respect as a character in the MCU. He would be on par with Captain America, not subpar or as a secondary or whatever, right? As this what do you call it? Bad replacement, right? You know what I mean? Like subpar
yeah.
replacement, right? That's how he's being perceived, and that's how he's been presented, really, right? Versus, how about, you know, now he's earned the respect of his in his own right as a hero, as an American hero, right? Like when they redid his suit, I think it was the Wakandans or whatever, and it was like stars and stripes, right? Red, white, and blue. That was great. I mean, I had no problem with that. It's like, but he's still Falcon. It's like just leave him Falcon, right? And then John Walker heals eventually, and he remains Captain America, and there you go. I mean, you understand? That's it. He gives his shield back. I mean, to me that would have been awesome because now Falcon can be his own hero. He is Falcon, right? But it's like they don't want to do that with these characters, and to me, that's the racism, right? It's like because it always seems to be with these minority characters, especially black male characters, that they don't want to make them into leading men, into having their own thing, right? They just don't.
Yeah.
Unless there's a certain angle presented, like even with a Black Panther, right? They had to have this certain angle about it, right? And it's like, just let them be human beings, right? Like they're men, and it's very, in my opinion, it's very disrespectful, you know,
Yeah.
because Falcon is a great character, and it's my same gripe that I had with Finn and Star Wars, and Cyborg, with the Justice League. It's like they don't respect these characters, and it's always it seems to be most of the time the black male characters they just don't respect, you know, and it's sad, it's unfortunate. So that's why like Marvel and Disney and all that, I don't really like them anymore. I don't. It's like what are they doing? I don't know. You know, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
not.
really annoying because it's like with black heroes, it's always like I'm a. It's always them being a hero is like I have to be a hero because I'm black or something. And then with villains, it's like this. I don't know. It's like the same thing. It's like I'm a villain, but it's for my people or something stupid like that. And it's never
Yeah,
like
right. It has to be this
oh, maybe he's
altruistic.
just
Yeah,
a horrible person, you know?
right. What if he's just greedy for power? Right. Just like you said,
Yeah,
they demonized John Walker. Why? Well, because he was a white man. Right. Like oh, we
yeah.
can't have the white man, being a hero, a true
And
hero.
it's so ironic because it's they're doing stuff that people would complain about in like old movies, right? That they think are dated, you know, like like when you watch a cowboy movie and the Indians are the bad guy or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
or but and they think that oh, if we do it to white people, it's justified because they did it to us, and it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
that's not.
That's not how it works.
And then they claim they're not racist.
Right. Exactly. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight it with water. You overcome evil with good, not with more evil. And that's the logic of a lot of people who adhere to that mindset, that ideology, that white people, white males in particular, are evil or inherent. Listen. I've heard I've been in rooms with black people who have literally said all white people are evil. So you can miss me with the gaslighting that nobody they don't really think. A lot
Yeah,
of
they
people
do.
do. And that's what we're seeing play out in popular media, wherein they seemingly pedestalize black people, uses the black female, but when they do a black male, he has to be submissive to a woman, or he has to be, like almost like a Mary Sue, like they made Falcon in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? He was kind of just a Mary Sue, like it was hard to respect him as a hero, right? Especially the speech in the last episode. It's like, bro, like
You mean the
he
one where he
just
didn't say anything?
what are you talking about? No.
He didn't say anything in the
Well, yeah, he
speech.
didn't say anything of substance, right? He was just like, do
Yeah,
better.
that's what I
Well,
mean.
it's like, what are you
Like,
doing?
dude,
Like,
what does that mean?
when
This
did
is
Captain America
stupid.
lecture anybody?
No,
You know,
he
it's like
simply
what
did the
he
right
just
thing.
did the thing, yeah. So, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, it's got to be from this particular ideological perspective. If you do have a black person or a black male, it's like no, that's ridiculous, right? And that's what makes it problematic, and frustrating. You know what I mean? And it's like, look, but that's what's happening. They can't have, um, you know, in their minds, they can't have a white man be a hero, right? And they can't have a black man just be a man outside of the ideological vacuum, right? You know, it's like he's not. He has to be woke. He has to be or gay, gay and woke, or just woke. You understand? Like he has to pander to women, like all these different things. You see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's all over a lot of the Marvel stuff. And girl power nonsense. It's really frustrating. And it's like just like we were talking about the other day. I think you were there. We were talking about female heroes, and it was like, oh, there's a lot of great, you know,
I
movies and
mean, I
stuff
feel
over
like
the
we had this
years.
conversation every
Yeah. Oh, you
time.
know what? It was with your brother,
Like,
and he was like, I didn't realize how many great, because I don't think of them as female heroes. I just think of them as heroes or
those
just great
heroes.
characters.
Yeah.
And we named like a few movies pre 2014. I think
I mean, we
like
talk about this every
Appleseed doing it
time
doing it nude and all
something
that kind of
someone says
stuff.
something stupid because
Yeah,
we talk
and it's
about
like
it
it's not
when
about hating women or hating on women. It's like, bro, like make great female characters. That's it. That's all.
well, yeah,
That's why
we know
people love
yeah.
Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot, right? because the movie was written in a way where it's like, oh, it wasn't this girl power fantasy nonsense. It was like, oh,
Right.
she's a hero. She's just a hero.
Well, here's
You
the
know.
thing. It's like we most of our favorite stuff. I mean, like I said, we talk about this every time something like comes out that's bad, or some every time some actor says something stupid. Because it's like, what are you talking about, right? I mean, we mentioned this when we
Yeah,
talked about Fist of the North Star. We talked about Mommy and Fist
yeah,
of the North
because
Star.
it's not reality.
We talked about,
That's why, and
all
it's frustrating because they speak about it as if it is, and it's
yeah.
like, no, that's not real. What you're
I
saying,
mean,
like calling the fans racist or sexist or homophobic, is not real. It's your delusion. But because in reality, very few, if any, are right, and their complaints are legitimate. And I get tired of people on both sides. Like, I've talked to others about this too. Like, don't insult the fans just because they like Captain Marvel, for example, or the Marvels, right? Just because they like the Girl Boss movie. It's like, okay, you can like whatever you want to like. If you're entertained by something, because you don't know if they like it because of that, or if they like it simply because it just has a certain appeal, right? You can't say, oh, you like it because you're a feminist. It's like, well, not necessarily. I mean, like the audience that went to see the Marvels were like 60% male. you know, you can say,
right.
well, they're male feminists. Well, maybe they are, but
Because
I
men
doubt if most of
write
them.
read comic books.
Right. I think they're just guys who are like, hey, I just like superhero stuff, and that's fine. So I don't knock the audience for liking something that I might think is objectively bad, right? I'll just say, look, it's bad, right? But if you like it, that's your prerogative. You understand? Like, I'm not gonna get mad. How can you? I mean, we could have a conversation, right? A debate. Like, how can you? Like, we were talking about The Lion King and Mufasa, right? And I was saying they are objectively good movies. Like, they're not terrible movies. You're like, no, they're bad. They're terrible. No, it's like that's
Because they
fine.
are.
Well, that's fine. But I mean, you can feel that way, and I can feel that. I'm just saying, like, but I'm not gonna like put you down for feeling the way you feel, and it shouldn't be, and the inverse shouldn't be true either, right? You
I mean,
understand?
you're
And that's
right.
all I'm
I'm
talking
just gonna
about.
be
It's
mad
like, don't.
though, but you're
It's,
right.
it's like getting mad at someone for liking, fried pickles or something. It's like,
No,
you
I
know what I
get it.
mean.
My
It's
problem
like,
is
look,
that
that's what
these.
they like. Like, it's
I
not
know, but that here's my
evil.
thing. Here's my thing. The people, a lot of the people who are like, "Oh, let people like what they like," will not grant you the same courtesy. They just won't.
Well, I agree. Some people won't, and I've experienced that. But I have
It's a
experienced
lot of
people who.
people.
No, I don't think it's as many as it may seem. Social media amplifies a lot of minority voices in a sense, like, and I mean minority in the sense of like the small few, and
No,
there's a
I
lot
get
of
it. Yeah, yeah.
bots and all that. But I've talked to people. I've talked to these people, who are like, look, man, I just like what I like, and it's like that's fine, you know, and they're upset because they get accused of, having the woke mind virus or being a, I don't know, SJW, that kind of stuff, right? And it's like, well, no, I mean, a lot of these, like, I was talking to one young man online, and he likes a lot of stuff from like the early 2000s, I guess. That's his, because he's like around your age, maybe a little younger, a couple years,
Uh huh.
but it's like he likes stuff that I look at. I'm like, oh, you like that? You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
because it's bad, but because I'm like, oh, I thought that was like for girls, or I thought that was like, like what's it called? I'm trying to think of the name of the show. I think it's Winx or something, right?
Oh yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
young
yeah,
men
yeah.
grew up watching that as a show, and they didn't think, oh, this is for girls. They just watched it because it had adventure and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I
Probably
remember
because
Wings. He
maybe it
was
was a
alright.
well written show. Maybe it was
Yeah, I
well
remember
written
it
and it
being. Yeah, I
wasn't
remember
woke.
it being well written.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they just like I remember, and it struck a chord with me because when he mentioned a few other shows, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling that. So, you know, I'm like, but I realized, well, he's young, a lot younger. He grew up watching that, so that's kind of what's been made for in his generation that he appeals to him. And it made me think about me when I was a kid, and I remember watching a show called Jim, right? And
Oh yeah, with the band.
yeah, with the band, it was a girl
Yeah,
band, but I
yeah,
caught it once on I think it was a Sunday afternoon, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. And what made me watch it was the animation looked amazing, right? I was like, wow, it's like really detailed, and I was enthralled by it, and I'm like, but is this for girls? Because the main
yeah.
characters were girls, right? And but I still watched it because I thought, man, the story is kind of cool, and they like transform into these heroes and all this kind of stuff. You understand? It
Yeah,
never like Now I'm not like a huge Jim fan. Like I wouldn't go. Like I think they made a movie about it. I didn't care about it.
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
It was nothing
yeah,
like the
I heard it was
show.
bad. Yeah, but I didn't care to go see it either because I'm like, well, I'm not this diehard fan either. But it's
Hmm.
like, but I did enjoy the show when it was out, right? And it's like that's kind of all it is. It's like it doesn't mean like I'm feminist or something. You understand what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
but we read so much into things that aren't there, and
Well,
that's
a
the
lot of
problem
it.
with this
I mean,
this sort of
reason why people read stuff into stuff, it's because of their own ego, and they think that everything revolves around them. Like I was literally just looking at a post talking about how oh, Ben 10 was a metaphor for, I guess, transgenderism because he literally changes his body, whatever. And like, literally,
that's
some
just
guy was
idiotic.
like, it was stupid. And literally, some guy was like, listen, the world doesn't revolve around you, all right? You need to relax.
Right?
like,
Yeah, it's like
like,
relax, bro.
like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Yeah. And because
Right,
it's
because
like
right, and that's a good
ridiculous.
example, like just reading into something that isn't there, right? But it's because, well, I gotta fit this square peg into this round hole,
Yeah.
so I gotta make it fit. So this is how I can do it, right? It's silly, right? You know what I mean? And but yeah, you're right. That does happen, and it unfortunately happens a lot, right? It happens to a lot of
Yeah.
people, and it is what it is. I mean, but I think that's part of like getting to a place where we get out of the back and forth, and you start seeing sort of the bird's eye view of everything, and you're like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, people, and the problem is, when you speak about Disney and all these big companies, and they're making these movies, they only appeal to a small portion of the audience, right? And that's the real problem, right? It's like, why are you pandering to this very small, you know, portion of the audience versus the majority of your audience doesn't want that, right? And that's it's like, but that's what they're doing because they are trying, in my opinion, they're trying to indoctrinate young people into these ideologies, and that's the way to do it is through media, right? Through entertainment. So I don't think it's effective, and in fact, I think ultimately it's going to be a net
Honestly,
negative
it looks like
for
it's having
them.
the opposite effect.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's gonna be a net negative in that they're not gonna embrace. They're gonna reject these things, and so it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Maybe they're kind of doing us a favor by doing. I don't know, but because it also taught me to not take these things too seriously, right? Like there's more
Yeah,
to
that's
life,
fine.
and there's more to media than what we're presented in the mainstream, right? It's made me seek out alternative media, indie media, like and YouTube's been good for that for the most part. Finding like independent studios and animators and storytellers and writers, and it's like, and it's kind of fun because I found some gems. Like, we shared a few on here, a lot of fan made stuff, like so, and that's the good. That's sort of the net positive is by doing by the mainstream kind of screwing us over, right? It's forced us to not only go back to the good stuff, right, but also to seek alternatives and try to enjoy
Yeah.
something that isn't mainstream, right? And I think that's going to ramp up even more. Because they're gonna. I think they're just doubling down. They're going to keep doing it. But B, and that's going to force people to keep looking for alternatives. But B, the cost of producing independent content has come down dramatically. Not just because of AI. Even before AI, you had Unreal Engine, which is free. You have a lot of
Yep.
3D assets out there that are
Blender,
free. Turbo Squid, Blender is free.
Art
I mean,
Station.
ArtStation, exactly. So you can learn what you need to learn. The information is right there on YouTube, ArtStation, all these amazing.
Itch.io. People are
Yeah,
releasing, graphics packs all the
yeah, that's
time for
right. Yeah,
free or for
that's what I'm
dollars.
saying. It's like if you have a little bit of resources, you can produce your own stuff. And I mean in the realm of VFX and animation, right, and 3D and gaming. But even a live action, all you need is an Apple iPhone, and you could film a TV show or something, right? I mean, you understand, like, and people have been doing that, right? A lot of shows
Yeah.
have been picked up into the mainstream from doing that, right? So, and that's kind of what I'm saying, like, and then now you can throw in the AI, dynamic, and now it's even more democratized, right? So, the future's bright in that sense, where we're going to see a lot of independent stuff come out. And the key is, it'll never be like it used to be, where you had this dedicated fan base on this one IP, like Star Wars, right? We'll never have a true Star Wars again, but I think we'll have a lot of small Star Wars, where you have this rabid fan base, but it's not going to be this
Yeah, I get what you're
global,
saying.
you know. Now, some might be. I'm not saying that it would never happen. I'm just saying it'll never reach, like Star Wars was peak, We had Indiana Jones for the most part. Um, and then,
I mean,
more
let's be
recent
honest.
years,
Star
we had
Wars was
Harry
kind of
Potter.
lightning in a bottle.
It was. It really was. Because I don't think we've really seen anything. I mean, like I said, the MCU I thought was the next Star Wars. Like,
Sure, but
and I
the
think
even
they were
so,
up until.
Marvel's is based off of an existing thing, though. It's not like wholly original. Star Wars is wholly original.
Well, that's a good point.
I,
That's a
I
that's a
would say
fair
the
point. Yeah,
closest thing we've gotten to Star Wars was probably Harry Potter.
yeah, Harry Potter. That's true. That's very true. And she wrote the books first. But yeah, but she was
Oh, that's
still
true.
heavily
Yeah.
involved. She's still been
In
she's
the
been
movies,
heavily
yeah.
involved though for the most part. So but yeah, you're right. Harry Potter is a close, very close second in that sense, like very Star Wars like, right? Um, so yeah, but has it surpassed Star Wars? Maybe, I don't know. You got to look at the numbers, But yeah, that's a good point. And obviously the MCU is there, but you're right. It's not wholly original. Is there any wholly original outside of Harry Potter? I don't know. Um, there's been some attempts though. There's been a lot of book adaptations and things like that. But yeah, like wholly insofar as cinema, yeah, that's. I think Riddick. Remember that Pitch Black and then Riddick,
Oh yeah,
Chronicles of Riddick. That was okay.
with
It,
Vin
it didn't
Diesel.
really, it didn't reach the level though of like a Harry Potter, But they got 3 movies out of it. So, and then there's Kung Fu
Yeah,
Panda. That was How to Train Your Dragon. That was wholly original, right? And that was, but
true.
is
Yeah, I
it
like
on
How to
the
Train Your Dragon.
yeah? Is it on the scale of Star Wars or even Harry Potter?
No, but the stories are still really awesome, though.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
I
especially How
think
to Train
that's
Your
more
Dragon.
important.
Yeah. Now I didn't
Yeah.
see the live action yet, so I don't know if it's to me that I don't know that kind of spoils
What do
it
you
to
mean?
me.
What do you mean yet? Yet implies that
Well,
you're
I
gonna
still
go
plan
see
to
it.
see it. Yeah, just to see what to see if it's good. I don't know, but because I do like the original animated. So, but yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Star Wars was sort of this lightning in a bottle. Will we ever see it again? Maybe. I don't know. It'd be nice.
It's gonna be a few years.
Yeah, but and I think it's going to be. It won't be on the same scale. You know.
Well, you never know. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. But
someone
it'll be
needs
nice
to
though.
make the equivalent of Ben Hur and the Iron Fortress, and then combine that with Star Wars to make the next Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean it's you gotta like take all the ingredients right and
Because
make
Star Wars is a sum of its influences, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. And
And
but
unfortunately,
you have to have that mystery X ingredient, right?
that's
Whatever
true.
that
But the
is,
thing is,
you
it's
gotta
like
throw it in there.
the Star Wars is a callback to this to older stories, right?
It is.
That George Lucas grew up with. Unfortunately, as a lot of people like to bring up, is that well, I would say the generation like right before me or after me, excuse me, doesn't really have a pop culture of its own. Like most, I guess if you want to call it Gen Z culture, is based off of references to older things.
This is true.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so, 50 years from now, people aren't going to be latching on to any, or most likely, you never know, but they're most likely not going to be latching anything from the from this generation. They're probably going to be latching on to stuff from your generation. Like think about all the people who are still watching um, the old Superman movie and Batman the animated series. Like
Yeah,
those things are still
Justice League,
relevant
just but that's you and your
20,
brother's
30.
generation, the animated series, and
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I said my
yeah,
generation, your generation.
yeah.
Like we don't
No,
like
but that's a good
the
point. Like,
generation after me doesn't have a Justice League or DC. The closest thing would probably be Young Justice, but like
no, yeah, that's still pretty much you guys. Um, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and it doesn't have to be specifically, obviously, like DC or Marvel. It's just
well, obviously not.
where's that
But even
IP
like
that
with
is,
movies, what was the
that's
last movie that come out in like the past 20 years that was like on the level of like a Star Wars in terms of like influence or like Lord of the Rings or something?
yeah. I mean, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings it was on par, I think, for a bit. It just it's because it wasn't Star Wars though. It's not wholly original, like you said.
Well,
It's based on the
well, sure,
books, but I think
well, that's true. Yeah.
also it's just the nature of the storytelling with Lord. It's not the same, right? It's not going to resonate. Like it definitely made an impact, right? And it still has today. Like today, it's still seen as a masterpiece. Peter Jackson, is a cinematic genius. But but it's like it's not Star Wars though. Like we're not looking for action figures and merch.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
sure.
Like not necessarily. We're going to buy the books,
But
right?
but I'm just
You know,
saying the Lord of the Rings movies are still very relevant in pop culture.
they
Like
are. Yeah, yeah.
the
You're right.
movie versions of Frodo and
Sam Samwise.
yeah, Sam and all the other characters, the Fellowship.
Gandalf. Yeah.
Those are the definitive versions for a lot of people. For me, because
No,
that's
you're
how
right.
I was introduced to Lord of the Rings.
You're absolutely right. And that will never really go away. I agree with
Yeah,
that. And for a while, that's kind of how it was. To be honest, it still is with Superman, right? Like to
yeah.
me, Superman was also another
Christopher
Star Wars
Reeves.
level type of series, movie event.
Yeah,
One and two, especially.
they made you believe a man could fly.
Yeah, but I mean, but it affected overall culture. Right? It saturated.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. Merch. Like I wanted a
Hmm.
Superman, and I did have a Superman action figure. Like you understand?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so it was, yeah, there was Star Wars, but to me, Superman as well. Like and really more so Superman than Luke Skywalker. Like I like Star Wars because I love the lore and everything. But as a kid,
yeah,
I
yeah.
especially loved the ships. The Tie fighters and all that. So and I had one of those fighters, and so that was great, right? But Superman to me was bigger. Like Superman was, it's like I wanted to be Superman, right? And so yeah, toys, merch, it was flying off the shelves. Now did it reach the same level as so far as like monetarily? I'm not sure. I think Star Wars probably still kind of beat it out, but culturally, just as much, if not more. You know, and it was that definitive Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman that did it, right? Because Superman existed prior to that, right? We had the series, we
Yeah.
had live action series, we had animation, Super
Yeah, but for
Friends,
a lot of people, the definitive version of
but
Superman was
it's Christopher Reeve,
Christopher
yeah, the
Reeves. Yeah,
Richard Donner
I
cut,
agree.
yeah, and that's what, and so that's something that I mean, it's probably gonna just be my full
You know what's
lifetime,
funny?
like
I know this is a big change in topic, but it's funny you mentioned like, yeah, I wanted to be Superman because I was just thinking the other day about um, like as a kid, right? I mean, we both watched Gundam, right? You had the movies, which I saw, which were cool, but like I didn't really connect to Amuro in the movie, um, or and same thing with like Macross, right? Like I didn't look up to Rick Hunter. I looked up to Roy Fokker, right? Because he was an
yeah,
adult,
same here. I like
and
Roy Fokker. I think
yeah,
most fans like Roy Fokker, but
well, yeah. Well, it's not
that's
that
another
Rick.
conversation. But yeah,
Yeah, well, a big part of that had to do with the fact that he was a grown man, Like as a kid, I think as a kid,
Yeah,
it's like you're more likely gonna look up to the adult because like if the main protagonist is a kid, it's kind of like, oh, he's cool, right?
yeah,
But like I know that I'm not gonna go on all these adventures as a kid, right? But like,
yeah. Well, it's. I think that's one of my criticisms of a lot of more modern shows is we have so many shows that feature children, right, doing adventures and having powers or whatever, which is fine, right?
but you want to know who
But
I
we
did
don't
look
have a
up to?
lot of adults, you know, who
Yeah,
are in these stories being heroes and that kids can look to and go, oh yeah, when I grew up,
yeah,
right, I want to be that guy, right?
yeah. You know who I did look up to in the Gundam series was Domon Kashi because he was the only. I think at that point he was like the only Gundam protagonist who was like not a teenager. He was like an actual adult. He was like 20 or 21
Yeah,
or whatever.
right. That makes
And
sense. Yeah,
he was like, yeah, because I thought, well, I want to grow up. I want to be a cool person who knows martial arts and doesn't afraid of anything, like Domo, because that's who he was in the show.
yeah,
And it's like I don't think like nobody like kids don't really have that anymore, right? Like,
yeah. I'm not sure.
listen,
I don't know.
nobody, no small teenage or middle school boy is gonna be like, man, I want to be like Steven Universe. None of them are saying that. None whatsoever.
Let's hope not.
Nobody. And I
Pray
know
God that
this
doesn't
because
happen. Yeah.
I used to teach. They're not looking up to Steven
Well,
Universe.
what they are doing though, and that's the beauty that used to be the MCU is they were looking at Iron Man and Captain America and
Well,
Thor.
they're still looking up to Superman. Like
Yeah,
I used to work
Superman.
at a
Right.
school, right? I used to work at an elementary school, and the kids at recess used to play a game where every time an airplane passed over the school, because we were by the airport, they were like, "It's Superman!" Everyone would flip out. They were like, "There's Superman!" And it was the
Funny.
cutest thing ever. And I remember the one teacher walked in, and well, they were playing recess, and she was like, "Well, what about Superwoman?" And the little girl looked at her like she was like, "What?"
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Just trying. I'm sitting
Speaking of
there.
which,
Oh yeah,
that's hilarious. Yeah. Like
but it just goes to show us like kids know like you can't like listen. Kids could do dumb things, but like they're not stupid.
yeah, they're not.
Like they know they could like they know what they
You know what they like.
yeah, they know what they like, and most
Yeah.
importantly, I think kids can sense
Listen,
like what
this
are things they should look up to.
yeah. Listen, I got a story. I remember not long ago, a friend of ours, she brought her grandson over, right? And I was working on Super Galactic. I was doing some writing and like had the art, some art up, you know. And I had one version of Alphatron up that was kind of our older version, right? It was from the
Okay.
first book,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
she mentioned it. Oh, he writes comic books. You should ask him for a book. And he was like, oh, really? Yeah, that'd be great, right? And so, I showed him the book. He's like, oh, okay, cool, right? He's flipping through it. I said, you can have it. And I signed it for him. And then he looks up, right? Because we walk back over to my desk, and he's like, "Oh wow!" He's like looking at my computer because I have like a gaming PC. It has a little
Hmm.
window you can see inside, like see the graphics and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So he was kind of, "Oh, this is cool," we were just talking, and he looked up at my desktop on one of my monitors, and it had another version of Alphatron that I had an artist render for me, and it was a way nicer version than the original. Like it was really cool looking, right?
Yeah.
He looked all like, like a grown man, like, powerful. And he goes, "Who's that?" And I said, "Well, that's Alphatron." He said, "Well, you don't look like the guy in the book." And I was like,
Oh
"Yeah, I know
no.
that." I said, "This, I did this after the book. Like, this is later." And he's like, "Oh, well," he's like, "So are you making a book with him?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, okay. When is that coming?"
Yeah, where's that coming out?
In other words, I like that guy.
Yeah.
This guy's
Yeah, yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
I like that guy, right? That's the message I got.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, kids like what they like.
Yeah.
and you gotta figure out how to tap into that, and if you really want to make something that they're gonna respond to, listen, he was responding, so I'm like, yeah, let me rethink this whole design, and that's part of what how it evolved into where what I have today. But it's like, yeah, he was like, yo, I want that guy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
but yeah, like right now, apparently with Supergirl's coming out. Speaking of Superman, right? And test screenings apparently aren't doing that great. According to Cosmic Book News, um, that's not good. Obviously, because remember with Superman, right? He did test screenings um, for Superman, right?
Hmm.
And I think he mentioned this that the scene where he rescues a squirrel.
Yeah.
I don't know if he. I think he mentioned that some people didn't care for it. Like they liked the movie, but they're like, yeah, we don't need that scene. But he kept it anyway, right? so, so this is
Man, forget
interesting.
what my audience
Yeah,
thinks.
forget what the audience wants. I'm going to do what I want. So this is something that's interesting. Is okay. So not getting positive feedback. So some scenes showing a lot more than others. Millie is praised for her acting in the role, so her acting is good. Lobo has two fights. The villain is underwhelming. So the feedback overall wasn't great, right? Wasn't firing on all cylinders. It's not an epic movie, according to the screeners so far, right? Um, so the question is, will he listen to it? Well, history shows that he probably
Yeah.
won't. So they're not going to do any reshoots, or right? I mean, that's what that tells me is he's just going to plow ahead with what he has, right? So, but yeah, I thought that was interesting because our initial reaction wasn't very good either when we saw the trailer drop, right?
I mean,
Um,
I
so
was
it's
pretty indifferent, but yeah.
yeah, I know. Well, mine is I don't care for the trailer.
I mean,
I think
that's
the
fair.
casting is
Um,
fine. The actress is fine. She's a good actress. But the portrayal is where I have a problem with, right? It's like, drunk college girl. Um, it's like, look, come on, And but yeah, we'll see. But once again, it's like, um, even despite all the evidence, right? They don't care. They're just gonna do what they want to do, right? So, but I thought that was interesting that the test screening is has not been very good, and it just kind of verifies, like, yeah, like the initial impression is generally has been negative, right? It hasn't been very positive. Like some people are like, oh, it looks cool, it looks good, but I don't think that's the majority of people. So,
no, it's
um,
not.
and so we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm rooting for the movie because I really would like it to be good, right? Like the Superman movie was good. It was not a terrible movie.
No, it wasn't.
To me, it wasn't as good as the OG stuff, right? With Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner
I
stuff.
think my issue is when I look back at the movie, whenever I revisit the movie, um, everything feels. Um, I guess the only word I can think of is shallow by comparison, and shallow. Or I know shallow isn't the correct word, but it's kind of like the ending speech with Falcon, right? Where it's like it wasn't it's not necessary, and it feels tacked on. And
Yeah,
um, some of the things in the Superman movie feel a similar way, just not as bad. But um, and I mentioned this before when we were talking about it with our last guest, but it's like we we didn't need the ending super. We didn't need the little speech to Lex from Superman because we already got that point when like they already made the point they needed to when we revisited the Kents, right?
yeah,
When Superman talked to his dad, like that should have been our big, they should have left it with that, right? And then of course, him revisiting his childhood videos and stuff. Like that was cool. We didn't really need the whole thing with Lex and Superman trying to explain to him that he's human and stuff like that wasn't really necessary. And I think that kind of I don't know, that kind of really knocked some points down for me because I get what they were trying to do. Like it was supposed to be something similar to what they did with Superman versus the Elite because he makes a similar speech, but I think that one felt more appropriate
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of
Well, because it's built up to it, but
yeah,
the movie
exactly.
I don't think really built up to a speech because they only had like one interaction prior, right? Like where he accused him of taking the dog before. Oh yeah, then in the Phantom Zone. So I don't know. It's kind of like yeah, I just feel like it was unnecessary. You know, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it was necessary to have him give a speech. But overall, like I said, the movie is entertaining, and but part of what makes it entertaining isn't Superman himself. It's his supporting characters, right? It's
Yeah, but that's
just
not
terrific, and
good. It's
I
not
know, I
good.
agree, and that's what makes it problematic, and that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like it's good, I'm not gonna say it's a terrible movie. It's not a terrible movie. But it's definitely a James Gunn movie, and it's held up because he made it an ensemble, which clearly that's what he likes to do. He likes to do ensemble type movies, right? Because that's what he's been doing, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, being the most popular. But even this Supergirl now, it looks like it's probably going to be some kind of ensemble type of movie, right? It's not going to just be Supergirl being Supergirl. It's going to be Supergirl plus some sidekick, and who knows, maybe Lobo will team up with her. And, who else? I don't know. I mean, you understand? It's like, um, okay, so it's not a Supergirl movie. It's a Supergirl and Friends, just like Superman was Superman and Friends, right? Or it
Yeah,
was it was Super Friends, right? This is Super Friends 2. Like
Super
that's
Friends
how it
too.
looks. That's how it's starting to look. Like Superman is actually Super Friends, and then this is Super Friends 2. Which, if he was doing that, that would be kind of fun. Like if he just said, "Look,
Right,
it's
but it
just
didn't
Super
even
Friends,"
feel like a
you know.
Super Friends movie.
So,
Like
well,
the
Superman does. That felt like a Super Friends movie. Like they even had the Hall of Justice.
well, I know, but that felt kind of tacked on. Like they didn't really. I
Well,
don't
he didn't.
think.
He didn't build out the lore. I think
Yeah,
very very
it
good,
just
but
it didn't
but
feel
still,
like
the movie itself is fine. But it's just yeah, it's James Gunn, So, but Luigi 107, he's asking if we can play Mario Kart on the stream.
I
Do
don't
you?
know about that.
Yeah, I
Well, I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't
Well,
mind playing
we could
Mario
probably
Kart.
do it,
Listen, I
but
like Mario Kart, but I don't like this new one. It's well, that's not true. I don't dislike
well, do you
like
have it?
listen. I don't have. I'm not buying the Switch 2.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay,
That's the thing. I don't have a Switch 2, and I have
yeah,
no
I don't either.
incentive to
So,
buy it. Listen, I'm tempted to get it because of Kirby Air Riders. Like if you're you got to play Kirby Air Riders. I'll play Kirby Air Riders because I love the Kirby games. Um, Eight Deluxe is good. Eight Deluxe is good. But yeah, like the Mario Kart World, like it looks fun, but it's one of those one step forward, two steps back kind of thing with
yeah.
Mario Kart World, and so I'm not really interested in it as much as I was when it first got announced. Um, and honestly, like I wouldn't buy a Switch 2 for Mario Kart World. Now,
But
maybe
let's.
Metroid Prime 4 career writers, but honestly, unless I'll be honest, unless until they announce either two things, a new Smash Brothers or a new Kid Icarus game, I'm not getting a Switch 2.
Yeah, at this stage, it doesn't make sense because you're not really getting a lot
No.
for it. So, and you can't even really port your games over unless you pay for it, right?
Yeah, they're making you pay the same games
So,
twice. Like
yeah, that's
imagine
ridiculous.
if you had to spend money to play your GameCube games on the Wii because remember the Wii was backwards compatible with GameCube games just automatically, but for the
I know
Switch 2,
that
for
makes
some
no sense to
reason
me. Yeah,
they're making you pay to
yeah,
like play Switch One
it
games.
makes makes no
Makes
sense.
it so it's
It's
so
kind of ridiculous. So
dumb.
yeah, so once again,
Anyway.
Nintendo's dropping the ball. So, but playing a game on stream, that's a good idea. Maybe
I
we
mean,
could do
yeah, I
it
wouldn't
a
mind that.
different day if you want to
Mario
do it.
Mario Kart 8 was
I mean,
good.
we could even do it on a Saturday, maybe for the second hour or something. So, but not Mario. Well, not the latest Mario Kart. Maybe we could do a previous Mario Kart.
Well,
you know,
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was pretty good.
yeah.
Um, it has a great soundtrack. Fun fact: Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I believe, if I remember correctly, Mario. So some of the Mario Kart games, the newer ones, the soundtrack was done by some legendary jazz fusion artists, particularly for Mario Kart 8. I remember seeing uh, I think his name was Masahiro Ando. He was the leader of a band called T Squared, and he was a famous jazz artist in Japan. Um, and he helped with the Mario Kart soundtrack,
All right,
so
cool.
it's
Yeah,
pretty cool. There's also some members from a band called Second Dimension. They're really good, another good Japanese jazz fusion band. They were also on the Mario Kart soundtrack, which is why it sounds so jazzy. I don't. If you ever get a listen, if you ever take a listen to the Mario Kart 8 soundtrack, it's pretty awesome.
cool. What does he mean by can you both rage? Rage for me too. What does that mean? Is that a game we're
Oh,
talking
it's
about
just
right
talking about like getting mad, frustrated with the game, which it's like you can't really do that on purpose.
now?
It's not something you can do on purpose.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean,
Well, look, if it makes me mad, yeah, I'll do it. If it actually makes me mad, but
I mean it's Mario. I mean it's Mario Kart. That's kind of like
oh,
it's kind of a
if you
given.
lose, yeah, yeah. If I lose, yeah. And trust me, I'll probably lose a lot. I'm not a very good gamer, as Jerry will tell you.
No, no, he's
Especially
not.
when
I
we
mean to
play
be fair,
Smash Brothers. Right?
I mean to be fair, you did beat Mario 64, so I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
many moons ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you are
this is
pretty
true.
good at Soul Calibur. I will give you
Yes,
that.
yeah. Soul Calibur is my game. That's true. Maybe we can do that too. Play some Soul Calibur. Yeah,
They did re-release Soul Calibur 2 on the Virtual Console for Switch 2 because they're doing GameCube games now on the Virtual Console, which is cool.
yeah,
So uh, it's good to see that people will be able to actually play the game with like online multiplayer and stuff like that.
yeah. That's pretty dope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
let's
don't know if you knew this, but the Soul Calibur 2, because remember our version had Link
yeah, that's right. Oh
to
yeah, and other versions don't, right?
yeah. So if you got it
Yeah,
on
that's
the
right.
PS2, um, you were able to play as Heihachi from Tekken, and then if you got it on the Xbox, you were able to play as Spawn. So they put Spawn in
Interesting.
the game.
Dang,
So
that's kind of tight.
yeah, and it'd be cool if they did a version where we had all the guest characters in it just at once. But that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the
So
fact that
well,
they were put
maybe
in there in general is pretty dope.
yeah, maybe we can for the new year start streaming some video gameplay. That'd be fun.
Yeah, but yeah, Mario Kart 8 that wouldn't be a bad game to play. I haven't played Mario Kart in years. I don't really play uh, Mario Kart anymore. I think if I do, I'm usually revisiting the 64 game. That's just because I grew up on it.
Yeah.
Um, or I'm playing. It's called Robotnik's Ring Racer. Somebody made a really good Sonic racing game. It's another fan game. It's called Doctor Robotnik's Ring Racers. That one's awesome. That's basically like the 64 game on crack. You gotta. Check it out. I'm serious. It's nuts. I don't
Yeah,
I don't like it's not an easy game either.
that's funny. Cool. So yeah, man, that's a good idea. We'll take you up on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, this I mean nowadays a lot of no, it's just not worth. I don't like most people. I think most people are gonna get tired of buying like AAA titles and mainly just stick to indie games. 'Cause there's a lot of good. There's been a lot of interesting trailers out for indie games lately. Like I just saw this trailer for this one game that was called I think it was like Walled City something, but it was basically based off of. I don't know if you ever heard of a game called Shenmue.
No, I
Came
haven't.
out okay. Came out on the Dreamcast. It was like the first true open world video adventure game. It was made by the guy who did Virtual Fighter. If you remember Virtual
Oh
Fighter,
yeah, I remember Virtual Fighter. Yeah.
yeah. So he basically made like a action RPG version of Virtual Fighter, and it was called Shenmue, and it was pretty revolutionary for the time. And there's this new game that's very similar, but it takes place in the walled city of China, which was like this giant slum. Like imagine if Skin Row was like it was like a giant like metropolis or something. Like was its own like city. That was the walled city in China.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. It's a real place in China, and yeah, there's a game. It's a action adventure game that's takes place in that, and it's basically Shenmue, and it looks pretty dope. And it's obviously a very retro game, and I gotta find the look for the trailer for it now because it was cool. And like there's been a lot of really cool like retro games coming out that still offer something new. There we go, Walled Haven, and I think more people are gonna be looking forward to these types of games, especially with now that generations like the PS2 and PS1 are now considered like retro. Normally retro, you think like 8-bit games, but now like the PS2, the GameCube is now considered a retro console, right?
Yeah.
So now you're gonna get retro 3D games, and I think that's awesome.
Cool.
But
Cool.
yeah, this is it's called Walled Haven, and it's essentially like remember the Yakuza game I played that I told you
Yeah,
about?
I do.
Yeah, it's essentially like that, which is another game that was based off of Shenmue. But yeah, yeah, yeah see how it kind of looks like a PS1 or a PS2 game, more
Mm-hmm.
like a PS1 game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it, obviously it's going for a more retro vibe, but it still looks cool. Um, like I'm excited for this. There's a few other games, but I think more people are going to be willing to spend money on a game that looks cheap, but they could get a lot of miles out of it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. But yeah, Luigi 107. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I can't do it today because I have to go after this. I have to do things, run errands. But maybe next Saturday, unless you want to stay and do it, that's up to you, Rocket Brown. If you want to
oh, I
stream
don't I don't have
a
Mario
game.
Kart 8.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
No,
Who does? Your brother does, right?
probably. I'd have to ask him.
Yeah, yeah. Because we could figure that out and set it up for next time. I wouldn't mind, like maybe the second hour, just do some, or even yeah, like go and just do a game or something. Even if it's not that game, maybe a game. I think that'd be fun. You guys can
We
watch me play and get
oh, yeah, we still need you to play Earthbound.
lose. Oh yeah, that's right, Earthbound. Yeah. So
That game was awesome. No, I'm saying I think you would genuinely like that game. It's got a great story. It's essentially It's what Stranger Things tries to do, but Earthbound did it way better 20
Yeah,
years
I
earlier.
remember. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, we gotta do that. We gotta do it. So, do we have a Discord? Well, I have my own Discord, and Rocket Brown has a Discord. I don't know if you want to give
Yeah,
him
we
your
should
Discord.
make a Super Galactic
We should
Discord.
actually. Huh? That's a good idea. I appreciate you, Luigi 107. Thanks for jumping in and giving us some ideas, man. And you know what? If you're willing to subscribe, we'll definitely do a live stream and play some games, man. So, because yeah, I think that's a good idea. So, and yeah, um, well, mine is a closed server. It's just me. So I join other servers with mine, but um, you gave us an idea that we should do a Discord server for a Super
Yeah,
Galactic Saturday. So look for that this week. We will do that. And I got your channel, so I pulled up your channel. So I'll reach out to you through your channel to let you know when it's up. So, but I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. And
yeah.
yeah,
Thanks for stopping
yeah.
by.
And thanks for the subscribe, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And go to our site and sign up to our email list. Get a free comic, man. So and check it out and give us some feedback on it. We appreciate it. So,
Yep.
all right, you guys. That's all I have for today. Thank you for checking us out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your support. And I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hopefully, God willing, we'll see you guys next Saturday as well. Um, and yeah, hope you have a great Christmas with your family, with friends, and I pray God will bless you this Christmas season. So um, make it a wonderful day and have a super galactic Saturday.
We'll see you around.